The Dallas Cowboys shocked the world during the 2018 regular season when they sent their 2019 first-round pick to the Oakland Raiders for Amari Cooper. At the time, they were 3-4 and looking at having a top 15 pick in the 2019 NFL Draft. Just a couple of months later, after the Cowboys finished the season 7-1 and reached the divisional round of the playoffs, that first-round pick is the 27th overall pick in this year's draft. At the time, it was perceived as a terrible value by most around the league, as the Philadelphia Eagles had made a trade for Golden Tate for a third and the Houston Texans had acquired Demaryius Thomas for a fifth. Well, after the way the season played out, it's easy to see that the Cowboys got great value out of their trade. Cooper made the Pro Bowl and had his third 1,000-yard season in his four-year career. As the Dallas Cowboys are in the early stages of roster building for the 2019 season and hope to make another run in the playoffs, they'll be looking at all avenues to improve their roster. This includes free agency, the draft, and trades. The Dallas Cowboys are a team that is close to contending for their sixth Lombardi Trophy, and the front office looks ready to get aggressive in the player acquisition department with this young corp. So, with that in mind, should the Dallas Cowboys use their first-round pick from 2020 to help their team this year? Let's look at several options. Trading up in the draft. As we all know by now, the Dallas Cowboys don't have a first-round pick in this year's draft. Like Stephen Jones said, when the Raiders go on the clock at 27, we'll all be thinking about Amari Cooper. He'd easily be the best receiver in this draft class. Just because the Cowboys don't have a first-round pick now, doesn't mean they couldn't end up with one during the draft. Their pick at 58 has a value of about 320 points, according to the draft pick value chart that most NFL teams use to assign value to picks. If they wanted to move up in the draft using their second-round pick and say their third, which has a value of 140 points, they could potentially get as high as the 44th overall pick held by the Green Bay Packers. Looking at future picks, the general rule is that they hold their valued at a full round less than picks in the current year would be. So the Dallas Cowboys' 2020 first-round pick would be the equivalent of their second-round pick this year. Say if they wanted to use their first-round pick in 2020 to move up in the draft, they would have to use it in a package with another pick. Here's how far they could go up by using their first in a package with another pick. 2020 first 320-58-320 equals the 29th overall pick held by the Kansas City Chiefs. 2020 first 320-58-320-90-140 equals 23rd overall pick held by the Houston Texans. 2020 first 320-90-140 equals 46th overall pick held by the Green Bay Packers. The New Orleans Saints used their 2019 first in combination with their 2018 first to go up in the draft to select Marcus Davenport during the 2018 NFL Draft, so it's not an unheard of proposition for teams to use their future first-round picks to move up in the draft. For the Cowboys to want to give up that much to go up, they'd have to see a player falling that they love. In every draft, there are always those players that you're shocked fell as far as they did. Think Derwin James and Harold Landry from 2018. The added benefit to trading into the first round is the fifth-year option. Teams can choose after a player's third year if they want to activate a team option for the player's fifth year. Byron Jones will be playing on his fifth-year option this season unless the Cowboys are able to get a long-term extension done with Jones. Depending on the player, it may make a lot of sense for the Cowboys to move up that far in the draft. There are always really good players that fall for whatever reason, and the Cowboys need to stand ready to take advantage. Trading for proven talent. As we saw in the Amari Cooper deal, trading for proven talent can at times make a bigger impact than a rookie can. As the Cowboys look to contend in 2019, they can look to the Amari Cooper deal as a reason to use their future first-round pick to fill a major need. Say defensive tackle, maybe safety? What about a proven tight end? The Dallas Cowboys over recent years have been reluctant to sign high-priced free agents, instead opting to target the second- and third-tier free agents to supplement their excellent draft class. Sending their first for Amari Cooper was a bold play that paid off and looks to be a bargain for a potentially elite wide receiver. Where draft picks are valuable is in the rookie deals that a team gets out of its drafted player, but the level of player that you get in the draft doesn't work out. The Dallas Cowboys have typically hit with flying colors in the first round of the draft, Taco Charlton and Morris Claiborne being the exception, which is why it was a bit of a surprise to see them move their first in 2019. Maybe they're realizing that a window only stays open for so long, and it's important to take advantage of that window in any way possible. Obviously, who becomes available, and what they cost are always determining factors when it comes to making a trade. If a player comes available via trade that the Cowboys really like, they need to consider the idea of moving their 2002 first-round draft pick. In 2018 it paid off. Could their 2020 provide a sequel? 2019 NFL Draft. Dallas Cowboys trades. With a championship run in their sights for 2019, the Dallas Cowboys want to cover as many bases as possible this offseason. One spot they should look at is backup quarterback, and they might want to consider the soon-to-be-available Blake Bortles from Jacksonville. As reported a few days ago, the Jaguars intend to sign Nick Foles as their new starter and parts way with Bortles. They're unlikely to find a trade partner given his 2018 play and $14 million base salary, so Jacksonville will probably be releasing Blake fairly soon. With only the unproven Cooper Rush and Mike White on the QB depth chart now, Dallas could stand to add a player with Bortles' experience. True, not all experience is good. Some might argue that the very reasons Jacksonville is discarding Bortles are why the Cowboys and other teams shouldn't be interested. However, it's one thing to no longer want a guy as your starter and another to see him as a capable backup. No, Blake Bortles has certainly never lived up to being a third overall pick. But he's also been unfairly maligned as a bust and is better than his mainstream reputation. Jacksonville Jaguars QB Blake Bortles, photo by Michael Hickey, Getty Images. Bortles' issue has been consistency. He threw for over 4,400 yards and 35 touchdowns in 2015 but then struggled the following year. He led the Jaguars to the AFC Championship game in 2017 but then lost his starting job last season. Ironically, he sounds kind of Nick Foles prior to 2017. One of the most intriguing aspects of Bortles' game is his mobility, which makes him a nice backup for Dak Prescott. He could allow the Cowboys to run a lot of the same stuff even if they had to make a sudden switch at quarterback. With most NFL teams settled at quarterback right now, Blake may not have much hope for a starting job or even competing for one. He might be resigned to having to take a backup role for a year. One team that might change that is also in the NFC East. Alex Smith probably out in 2019, the Washington Redskins might want to take a look at Bortles for a one-year deal. However, so far they seem committed to Colt McCoy as their starter if Alex doesn't return. So yes, even though he's the butt of a lot of jokes, Blake Bortles will still be one of the better options in the QB free agent market this year. He's still in his physical prime and has at least flashed at times the talent that made him an elite draft prospect in 2014. If Bortles can be had for a bargain, Dallas could significantly strengthen their QB depth chart this offseason by signing him. The 2019 offseason for the Dallas Cowboys looks like it's going to be a wild one. The Cowboys have focused their attention on the free agent safety class, will be looking to sign long-term extensions with several of their top players, and now it seems they'll be in the trade market as well. In the afternoon, yesterday, a report came out that the Cowboys were interested in Cleveland Browns running back Duke Johnson. Andy Slater, from 640 AM The Hurricane out of Miami, that the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles have both expressed interest in trading for the Cleveland Browns running back. Slater scoop: Eagles and Cowboys have both expressed interest in trading for Browns RB Duke Johnson, source tells me. At Mary Kay Cabot first reported interest by multiple teams. Johnson, a former Miami Hurricane drafted in the third round of the 2015 NFL Draft, has played in every game in his 4 seasons in the NFL. Coming out of college, he profiled as a player who could be given 20 touches a game, but it never really led to that in Cleveland, instead becoming one of the better receiving backs in the NFL in his short time in the league. The Browns thought so much of Johnson that they gave him a contract extension during the 2018 offseason, but then proceeded to draft Nick Chubb in the second round of last year's draft. Then, in an odd turn of events, they added Kareem Hunt to their backfield. Now Johnson looks like the odd man out in an offense that features 2 dynamic running backs who have proven to be workhorses in their short time in the NFL. Johnson would make an excellent complement to Cowboys running back Ezekiel Elliott. After averaging 3.6 yards per carry his rookie season, he's since averaged 4.7 yards per carry over the last 3 seasons. He's only had 100 or more carries one time, again in his rookie year, and has averaged only 65 carries a season the last 3, with 2018 being a new low when he only received 40 carries. Call that the Chubb effect. In the passing game, though, Johnson maintained a prominent role. Over the course of his career with the Browns, he averaged 59 receptions for 542 yards and 2 touchdowns a season. His best season was in 2017, where he rushed for 348 yards on 82 carries and 4 touchdowns while catching 74 passes on 93 targets for 693 yards and 3 touchdowns. Though Duke Johnson played more than 42% of the snaps on offense for the Browns in 2018, the offense took on a more aggressive look than it had with Baker Mayfield at the helm. Instead of having to rely on checkdowns, Mayfield was pushing the ball down the field with more regularity than Tyrod Taylor, who averaged only 5.6 yards per attempt compared to Mayfield's 7.7. Johnson has proven to be a good complementary piece in the NFL and can handle 5 to 10 touches per game, which would help ease some of Ezekiel Elliott's nearly 400 touch pace over the last couple of seasons. If the Cowboys are planning to have Elliott around for the long haul, they need to create a plan to not run their investment into the ground. Duke Johnson can help with that. If there's a reason not to trade for Duke Johnson, it comes in the form of his salary. He'll count $3 million against the cap in 2019, nearly $5 million in 2020, and almost $6 million in 2021. They would have outs though. In 2020, the Cowboys could walk away with only $750,000 in dead money on the cap in both 2020 and 2021 by releasing him with a post-June 1st designation while getting $4.1 million in savings. If they wanted to release him without the post-June 1st designation, they would be better off doing it in 2021, where they can get $5.1 million in savings with only $750,000 in dead money on the cap. Trades are always a difficult proposition as teams have to find common ground on what the player is worth. Throw another team into the mix, as the Philadelphia Eagles are also reportedly interested, and trades like this become even more difficult. If the Cowboys do make the trade, they'll be getting a good player. For the first 3 years of his career, he was one of the best offensive players the Browns had, but was generally relegated to passing game duty. Johnson's been a player longed after by Cowboys fans and media alike since he declared for the NFL Draft in 2015. Many thought the Cowboys should take a run at him and make him their feature back instead of relying upon Joseph Randle and Darren McFadden. Now the Cowboys get an opportunity to right a wrong from their past by trading for the former third-round pick. The Dallas Cowboys have once again given star pass rusher DeMarcus Lawrence the franchise tag. This will be the second straight season that the defensive end has been franchised, which isn't a big surprise as 2019 free agency opens next week. Lawrence accepted the tag last year and played on a one-year deal for about $17 million. If he does it again this year, he will count $20.5 million against Dallas' salary cap. Source: The Cowboys tell us they've informed Tank Lawrence camp of the tag intentions, and that they wish for negotiations to continue, which they can, on long-term deal, until July 17. This move comes as no shock after recent reports that the Cowboys and Lawrence were nowhere close in their long-term contract negotiations. Last year, DeMarcus promised that he would not play 2019 under a second franchise tag. If he stands his ground, we could see a holdout situation similar to what the Steelers went through in 2018 with Le'Veon Bell. However, we still have some time before a holdout becomes a real concern. Right now the Cowboys are just securing their exclusivity in talks with Lawrence as the offseason continues.